Hello to everybody. My name is Dalibor Baskovc. I'll be chairing this part of the session. We'll be introducing the workshop on startup and innovation. Actually, we've been asked to present the Slovenian case, how we did it. Since we have a short period of time because they've cancelled our 20 minutes, let's do it like that, and we have a break like in 20 minutes. We'll try to introduce what we've done in the last half of year in respect to startups in Slovenia. I brought the whole Slovenian team with me, and each of them represent part of our academy program. The reason that we've done that is that we think and believe that there are not enough startups in Europe in respect to other continents like America. So we've developed this program to give the startups the potential, first in business and then in technical aspect also. What we've developed is a program that has been running for 2 months, and after that we've been producing 3 or 4 startup companies, meaning new business, new working places, which is really hard at this time. So I'll introduce you with the guys. Filip, you know already, the ones who have been present in the morning session. He's part of Econic School. Then Andraz has just arrived. He's part of this ecosystem. He's our member of EuroCloud Slovenia, biggest telco operator, mobile operator as well. And Rok, who is part of our school and is just on the way to America, coming out from our school, where he would like to position his new startup. Okay, so let's start. I would first ask Filip to introduce the startup school. Can you just switch the microphone on?
So the presentation part, or just a brief introduction?
Brief introduction.
Okay, so what we've noticed was that there's a bunch of startups doing a bunch of different things, using a bunch of different technologies. One of the technological fields that they were using is, of course, the cloud computing part. What we've noticed then is that they have a couple of problems. Number one is they usually have a technology that they don't quite know how to put to the market, how to develop a product out of that. If they do have a product, that product doesn't necessarily fit on the market, so we didn't see that they've actually had conversations with their potential customers to develop the product into the form where it would actually be useful for them. And because they are startups, they don't really have the know-how on how to run their business and how to make it scalable in the long run. So we basically provided that knowledge for them alongside with technical workshops which were designed with the participants, because we didn't just want to give them lectures on random technological stuff, but we asked them first what technologies they were using, what they need help with, and then we had 2 tiers of workshops, so the business workshops and the technical workshops, and in the end we produced, out of 17 teams, 13 apps that were and will be launched at a local B2B app store, which I think we'll hear more about from Si.mobil.
Thank you. Andraz, can you introduce yourself?
Andraz Zmasjsek, I'm coming from Slovenia, Si.mobil. This is the second largest operator, but yeah, we are coming for the first. From Si.mobil perspective, let's say we are telecommunication. Yeah. 2 years ago, we have decided, or you know that telecommunication is not the promised land as it was in the beginning, and we were really searching for new business areas where to spread, where to go. And so 1.5 years ago, we have decided that we will try our best also with the cloud. And after, I believe I will have also, I will tell you a little more about this also tomorrow, but we have decided to go into the brokerage model, cloud service brokerage model, which is not kind of used in Europe, but I would say it's in America is pretty popular. So we have launched our services or services of our partners in June last year. We have provided a marketplace on which you can kind of have a demand from the customer, business customers, and meet on the other side the developers, like we will discuss also today here. And on this marketplace, those two guys can meet together. We saw this Start Cloud initiative as a perfect opportunity to boost our, let's say, the number of services we are offering on our marketplace. And actually, this was the story how we started, and then here we are today.
Okay, thank you. Rok, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Rok from Needlefound, and we help small business e-commerce companies generate growth from their online analytics data. Actually last year, I looked and dressed like most of you here in the audience. I walked around in a suit. I was not wearing jeans. I was wearing a tie, and then I came to the Start Cloud School for Startups when we started building our startup. And one day, Filip comes to me, like I think our second session there, and he says, "Well, Rok, I'm sorry, I don't know how to exactly just say this. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but you can't go to Silicon Valley dressed like that in a suit." So here I am now, and getting ready to, well, hopefully take on the U.S. market.
Okay, thank you. Now, Filip, could you introduce a little bit about the Hrastnik Startup School? What you've done, why is it so special?
Yeah, so Hrastnik Startup School is a startup school. So it's been in existence for about 3 years. This is the presentation for the Start Cloud program. So essentially we run different programs. Start Cloud is just one of them. We've had Start Android, we've had iOS workshops, we've got a program called Boundbreaker, which essentially takes teams who already have their products and prepares them for an investment and then takes them to Silicon Valley. But basically, as far as the Start Cloud program is concerned, and this is the way all of our programs are designed, we first have to identify our target segment. So for Start Cloud, as you can see, we've got students and researchers who actually, through the program, develop a team and essentially incorporate and start working on their products. We've got pre-seed startups, which are essentially the ones that need to position themselves on the market, and then we've got already funded startups who need to internationalize their business and just take it to the next step. And if we could turn the slide. So here's the thing, and this is the important part. We think that nobody can do anything like this alone. So even though we have all the knowledge that we should give to the startups, even though we have the network, and we can call up people that will be technical advisors to those teams, we think that it is extremely important to stress that this project was a partnership. It was a partners project when we had different entities who had slightly different interests, but were at the end of the day aligned. So the point of this Start Cloud program was for those teams to launch applications on the B2B app store that we talked about a bit earlier. Now, at the same time, we worked with EuroCloud to provide these startups with the technical expertise that they need. And we think that in that sense, it is beneficial for all of the partners in that project to work on something like this together, because it makes sense for domain experts or institutions who are essentially domain experts to combine their knowledge and skills together to actually bring such a thing into existence. Because, for instance, a telecom provider benefits from more apps on their biz store. We benefit from the fact that we educate more startups, and of course the cloud community benefits from more knowledge about cloud services and so on and so forth. And if we can turn it on. So here's the curriculum, just so you get an idea of what is going on. It's based on our toolbox. We essentially don't think that the way you teach a startup is by giving them lectures and then making them recite their knowledge. You essentially have to give them tools with which they can build a business. So what we focus on is transferring the knowledge that is currently developed at the Stanford Entrepreneurial Ventures program to Europe. So essentially some of the tools some of you might know that are being used there, some of these tools we've developed ourselves. So for instance, the product feature benefit matrix that is up there is a way that is a tool essentially that we give startups with which they name all of the problems that they are able to solve with their technology, all of the benefits that come out of these problems, all of the features that that their software is going to need to have in order to solve this problem, and then they put a price tag on those features. And then they go and talk to their customers, potential customers, to figure out exactly what is the first thing that they need to ship to make the lives of other people more useful. So in that sense, we encourage lean and agile development and actual customer development for them. Secondly, it's basically, the way this works is you would have sessions. We had them 2 times a week, on Tuesday and on Thursday. Once we would have business lectures, once we would have technological lectures and workshops. But essentially what we want is we want to have a lecture, and then we want to have actionable tasks and actionable knowledge to come out of those lectures. So we explicitly demand from all of our lecturers that they have to produce an A4 paper, one side of the size of A4 handout, which has to contain all the information the teams need to fulfill the task that they're going to get. So we encourage strongly that knowledge that is produced needs to be actionable. Now, the slide that you're looking at is the philosophy slide right now. So the 2-tier curriculum is the stuff that I was just talking about. You need to give startups the knowledge as far as the business is concerned. At the same time, you need to make sure that all of the technological hurdles that they have, they are able to come through, that they are able to come over them. I'm missing a word right now, but you know what I mean. Then secondly, no, if we could still go back for a second. There's docendo distimus is a Latin saying which essentially means that by teaching you learn. So the way we work is we believe that unless a team is capable, and you've got the cliche pyramid of knowledge retention on the right side, we believe that if a team is unable to give advice to other teams in the program based on what they've learned, they've essentially learned nothing. So what we do is we give them the knowledge, we work with them through the workshop, and then teams have to pitch their solutions and their work that they've done at that workshop to each other, and then we encourage them to critique them. We think that brings a host of benefit. It makes the teams more engaged in the process. It builds the community that you need in order to keep an ecosystem alive. It also makes them get more knowledge and actually retain more knowledge in the long term. But at the end of the day, it encourages them to speak up their mind, and it encourages them that even if they make mistakes, those mistakes are only experience, right? So in the end, you've got the reference book that we use, which is essentially the Startup Owner's Manual, which is a big fat book, which I suggest all of you look at, because even if you're an established business, it's going to give you a couple of very interesting concepts on how to deal with your customers. So this last slide basically tells you what's been going on. We've had 17 teams enter the program. We've had 13 apps launched. We're keeping our fingers crossed that the 4 teams that kind of dropped out and got lazy are still going to deliver. But essentially, we think that the failure rate is not too bad. We've got some winners. We've got some people who are going to go to the States. We've got some teams who are now going to go and gather their first 500,000 of users. We're going to help them on their way. Of course, we think there's a lot of room for improvement, and this has been a very, very quick presentation of what's been going on, but I'm sure that you'll find me around and we can talk a bit more about the more specific things.
Thank you, Filip. I think that we are losing time, so I'd like just Rok to introduce himself, since he was part of the school. So we'll quickly switch to the Rok's part of presentation.
Since we're running out of time, we can just skip the presentation part, and I'll just relate very quickly what was, I mean, for us, the whole point of going through this startup school process. Is that before doing this, for the past 8 years, I've been developing online retail for the largest DRV multi-channel online retailer in Central Eastern Europe, Studio Moderna, where we started practically from scratch and then built a team of about 200 internet professionals. Of course, the company also does TV sales and everything else. But essentially, when I came from that to building a startup, well, you know, there's a certain way of doing things where when you're an online retailer, when you're doing big business, when you're part of a company that now has about more than 10,000 employees, and then there's sort of a certain different way of doing things when you're part of a small startup with about 3-4 people. And actually, Hekonik, I mean, the school was really instrumental in, first of all, helping me personally understand the changes, and they gave us a process to follow in order to get us to where we are today. I mean, definitely if we came to them earlier, like about a year earlier, then we wouldn't have made like half the mistakes we made. We'd probably be live already for about half a year. And the whole process helped us to really perfect the various aspects, all aspects of our business. For example, the first time I was pitching on stage, just training for my presentation for the presentations for the US, Filip would say, "Well, you know, you're coming off sort of like a salesman, and you can't come off as a salesman if you're talking to VCs." Okay, so then we had like 50 more sessions going through that. They sort of showed us that it's really important to release early, release often, not wait to have the perfect product, which is my personal disease. I've always wanted to ship until we have really the perfect product. And finally, they also, they pushed me personally to go on my US trip in a few days and to start just go there and start pitching. And probably we wouldn't have moved this fast without their constant nagging and pushing and deadlines and more nagging, and they really nag at you a lot. But anyway, there's really, I think it's, especially from an ex-corporate guy, it's really tremendous value in seeing how to do things in a completely different way than what I was used to before.
Okay. So you've heard a story of how we've done it in Slovenia for the first time. It's been new for us, for the team. We will try to perceive and follow up from where we stopped, because what we know up to now is that those teams need constant support. And that is what we will try to achieve in the next phases. So here you're having a whole ecosystem. You're having researchers that have been contributing with their knowledge. You're having a provider that has the market, that has the user. You're having the people that would try to use cloud computing as an enabler, not as a cloud industry and make another service, as an enabler, because we've had a lot of very interesting products or services that we've seen that were following the ways that I couldn't believe before. For example, one of the team was from biotech, and that was amazing. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for amazing ideas where cloud would be just an enabler. Cloud is just something that you can get out of the Google. If it's a service that's useful for the client, why not use it? So we hope that we've enlightened you with how it is a way to do it. We are open to questions, and we'll be here for the next 2 days. I think Rok will maybe leave us before, because he has to leave for America, but the rest of us are here.
I'm leaving tomorrow.
Okay. Any questions? Marco.
I think that's a fantastic way of bringing startups up to speed. But with this so dynamic approach, would you not say that it would be interesting to take even on wannabe entrepreneurs who don't have the idea yet and let them work together to find their idea? Because at the end, it's not about, it's always, the passion is growing with the idea which is coming.
Yes, most definitely. That's why if you're going to go to hekovnik.com, you're going to see that the program that is being launched right now is called Start Something, where we're targeting grandmas and waiters, everyone who basically has an idea. And it's essentially an experiment. What we want to do is we want to get about 50 people in the same room twice a week for about a month and a half. We want to get them to present what they're competent with. We want them to give the ideas, and then for teams to form, and then for them to actually start the products that they are going to start. Yeah, but we had a program called Start Art, where we worked with architects and urban planners. The problem with that program was that none of the people that actually joined the program had any real, to be completely honest, had any real wish or passion to become entrepreneurs. They just wanted to be part of a project. So we're now resetting, and we went back to the drawing board, and we're starting again. So yeah, this is exactly what we'd like to come into. I mean, it's sort of an internal joke at Hekovnik is we want to bring the Stanford entrepreneurial knowledge to every bar in Slovenia. So we want people to be talking about their ideas and what they're doing and how they can change the world at the end of the day. So yeah.
But actually, there were team coming with a very different level of knowledge into the school. Some of them were like you saying, with no ideas, and at the end they have come with a minimum viable product. And even they were the winners because they were following the program exactly, step by step. There were others who had the idea, who had the service, but at the end they didn't produce anything. Yes.
What percentage of time on the course is spent with entrepreneurs that have been successful? I mean, I guess ultimately successful with failures along the way, or is it you guys bringing that experience?
This is just a first phase. So we've brought them to the minimum viable product with their service. So the next phase is go to the market and get the users, and from there on you can ask these questions. But that's something that we have to still.
So quite theoretical at this stage.
No. It's actually very practical. I think the answer to your question is the following. Every workshop started at 4 and ended at around 9 p.m., 8, 9, because there's socializing after the fact. There is a lecture that lasts for 1 hour, which is given usually either by one of us in the team, or Rok gave one of the lectures on key performance indicators because that's his know-how. Then there's workshops, and then after every workshop, there is an interview with a successful entrepreneur. So what we strive to do is the interview lasts from somewhere between an hour and a half. It is with someone either with domain expertise or someone who is just a successful entrepreneur, not necessarily in this case in the cloud sphere. And then they stay and chat with the teams. Towards the end of the program, where we were preparing the teams to pitch in front of actual investors, we've had investors come in, we've had people from Zemanta, I don't know if you know, a Slovenian startup that was fairly successful. So I would say, if we're talking percentage, 30 to 40% of the time, no, 30% of the time is spent with people outside the team who were successful entrepreneurs, but even the team consists of people who've started and failed at their own companies.
Maybe we didn't emphasize enough, but they learn from each other also, because it's open. They pitch to each other, which is really interesting, because that's how you get ideas.
And just to understand, for your clarification, there are actually 3 + 1, that means 4 services that we will introduce in next month on the marketplace out of this activity. And they will be sold to the SME, small to medium enterprise community that we have.
Okay. Yes?
Are you looking to rolling out this project into different countries?
Yes and no. Yes, definitely. I mean, we're a startup as well. We just don't believe we're ready to scale just yet. We think we're about a year away of actually launching our programs in other countries. We've been in talks with people from many different places, mostly across South and Southeast Europe. But the thing is that we are sure that we can manage to pull off these workshops and actually explain stuff to people. We're currently working hard on building a system, on building the toolbox so that it is actually transferable. So we think that in about a year, we'll start rolling out programs in other countries, because the way we're currently designing it, we're now coming to a new web presence, to a new web page, and so on and so forth. What we want people to actually be able to do is there's going to be the toolbox, and for instance, if you're going to look at a program, there's going to be a video lecture that is taped from what we did. We're going to have the handouts, we're going to have the tools, so even if you don't show up, or even if you don't want to participate in the program, we're keeping all of our knowledge base completely open. So currently the problem is that about 90% of the lectures are in Slovenian, so they're useless to you. Some of them are in English, so feel free to check them out, but essentially we are going to keep everything open, and once that system is set up and we're ready to scale, yes, we're definitely going to other countries.
And we are definitely looking for a pilot country who would be ready to do with us, but we need funding for it.
Yeah.
Resources. Okay, Andraz, you have something to add?
Yes, I just wanted to add one thing here. Yes, you know, telcos are slow usually, yeah, but this time we are faster than those guys. No, I just wanted to say that Si.mobil is part of the Telekom Austria group. I don't know if you know that, but we are present in 8 countries, and we are really looking forward to launch this also in these 8 countries. So first we are going to apply this business model of marketplace and being brokerage middleman to at least 5 countries, and then we go also with this as one of the activities, how to get the local content to the marketplace.
Okay, so I've taken 15 minutes of your pause. So if you don't have any questions, you just have 10 minutes, and then it's the last session. So thank you for all.